What's going on, everybody? And welcome to Bell Outright Occult Gaming with me, Bell Outright. And today we are continuing our journey into Darksiders II Deathinitive Edition. And yeah, we had a little companion there. Cool little crow man. Not a crow man, but a crow. And yeah, Death likes to chill. But yeah, where we left off is we were given a couple tasks from the makers of this area, this awesome looking area with these very amazing looking statues. Yeah, we were tasked with getting together some objects for a amulet talisman, and also we were charged with restoring the fire to the forge. So we see over there we have Thane waiting on us. The trainer whooped our ass thoroughly in the last episode, blew us apart with one blow. And we also have Adart, who the first maker we saw in this place. So we're gonna talk to both of these guys.
Horseman, you'll find not that way, but trouble.
Do what you must for your kin, old one. For mine, I ride to the Cauldron.
If you fancy your corruption waist deep, that's as good a place as any. You know, there's a reason this gate is here. And if you were a friend, I wouldn't let you pass. But then, who is friend to death?
Apparently he knows some
wisdom
secrets.
to share, or was it long since knocked loose in battle?
Wisdom ain't like teeth. I've plenty left. Enough to stay clear of the Cauldron. The ancients filled it with right nasty traps. But one so clever as yourself will surely elude them.
We don't have enough money to actually buy anything else, but the first couple of attacks are relatively cheap, so we just gotta get more gold. Or in this game it's called Guilt, which is an interesting name. Very edgy, like much of the rest of Darksiders, the way it tends to be. So I'm just looking at the various abilities. If you guys are interested in anything, you could just give it a pause to read the descriptions. I did not give myself enough time to read these. And again, this is post commentary. So, and then we definitely got to go talk to Adart. But yeah, these guys are interesting. Makers are very interesting. They are kind of like the Nordic addition to this kind of mono-religious story. It's like one big mythology of every religion almost.
Bad omen, yet our best hope. The fire is more valuable than I, horseman. You should make haste to the temple.
Fire alone won't save your realm. You speak of the forge.
Aye. Without the fire and the tears of the mountain, without the forge itself, we have no means to clear the forest and reach the tree of life.
What then?
Our power is over creation, yours over death and despair. You are Nephilim, Lord of Destruction. Perhaps in that, there is hope.
Just how old is the forge?
It is as ancient as the realm itself, and perhaps even older. It is said the forge was the first thing we makers built, that in its depths we shaped entire worlds. You should make haste to the temple.
These guys are amazing. So they're clearly influenced by Norse mythology with their whole use of trees and kind of their aesthetic as well. In their accents, you find a lot of sounds like Scottish, Gaelic sort of dialects. And that there is a boatman's coin, a little trinket found throughout the world, typically in water, where you'll find those things for the most part. You trade those for Vulgrim. I'm actually not sure at this point what you get for them, because I haven't been trading them in yet. But get something nice for them, I imagine. Just be on the lookout for those anytime you find yourself in water. They are on land as well. So just anytime you're just in an area, just kind of keep your eyes peeled. You'll come across those. And these are our gameplay stats. 51 minutes going so far. Got 1 death to, I guess that's the death to Thane, because I don't remember dying before that. Environmental death. Oh, I guess maybe they count when you fall off things as a death. Interesting. Yep, but we're just getting started. Definitely just getting started. We haven't even really explored this world yet. This world has quite a bit to offer. Once we get out there, there's 2 directions once you get to the main kind of area. 2 directions right off the bat. One way progress the story, another way you could just kind of go and explore and pick up various things. But both ways you'll eventually explore all the way. Alright, so it is time to keep our journey moving. And looks like I was looking around for secrets maybe, which is definitely a good idea in a game like this. There are typically secrets everywhere. If the first game taught us anything, it is that secrets can be all around, and there's even cases where we have to come back with new power-ups to access some secrets. But right here looks like we got everything, so let's go ahead and proceed forward. And then coming up, we're headed to the open-ended area I was talking about. And that right there is the corruption. The personification of corruption. Right there in front of us. This is where we need to go. The tree of life is locked behind this disgusting creature. Wish you could take some swipes at him. We'll be back for that. We'll be back to take care of that. For now, there's a plethora of secrets over in this corner over here. First and foremost, you'll notice the sounds of a beast. There's some sort of invisible beast here. I believe we'll have to come back in order to face it. This right here is the Book of the Dead. It's a page we have to collect, and if we bring those back to Vulgrim, we get rewarded for it. I believe he gives you souls, and if you get enough of them, he'll give you something good. Alright, and there's also something else we can't get at the moment. You guys aren't able to see it right now because I'm fighting these creatures here, these prowlers. But if you look up on the mountain here, right in front of us, now to the side of us, to the right side, if you were to look up, you can see a stone there, a blue kind of glowing stone, and that's a stone that we need to shoot for a later mission. Well, I wouldn't even call it a later mission. I would say the mission will start as soon as we get over to that area, which we could have done just right away, but You have to take the area first. You have to go to that area first, then you have to come back with the item you need to actually shoot the orb or shoot the stone. And this is a quiet, peaceful ride, and I love it. It's the only thing the first game was missing is more horse sections. But here, the Weeping Crag is a nice vertical area with a ton of secrets and hidden places to go. Quite a bit of loot inside too, so this is a great idea to come to this place around this time. Get your gold up, get some weapons. Just be careful when you come to this place. There are a couple of fights here. One fight in particular is brutal. It is definitely brutal, and if you come at this particular point, you'll probably be a little too weak to really do anything about it. But if your gameplay is good, then yeah, you'll be able to crush the boss no problem. It's kind of like a mini boss of this area. Not even a mini boss. He's just like a really tough and big enemy. So yeah, you'll be, as long as you can beat him, you are good to go. Death really went to Prince of Persia route there. It's really cool though. Yeah, War's control, or I should say Death's control, feels very smooth in this game. It's definitely rare that I have a controller hiccup in this one. In the first one, at least the War Master Edition, I did have trouble with the dodge function. It was not dodging on command, it felt like, and he would often dodge in the wrong direction, it felt like. And then when I finally found out how limited the dodge was, then I really stopped relying on it and started using block more. Definitely using that hammer. As you can see, excuse me, that's actually an axe that I'm using. But as you can see, just kind of going through collecting some treasures here. And there's a ton of secrets. If we go down there, that leads to a couple of treasure chests in an area where you can grapple across to, but you need a specific item to do so. So we don't currently have the means to grapple anything, which we would need to jump across that gap over there. But for now, we can at least get the treasure that's here, which includes items. So you can have any strategy really coming through and collecting things. I believe the weapons that you get out of treasure chest scale to your level or close to it. So you can come around at any time and collect these treasure chests. If you need something now, I suggest opening it up right now. But if you want to save them for later, that's a fairly viable strategy, I would say. Because this area is so vast, I'm just checking around and see if I can find any Boatman's coins, Vulgrim's pages, anything like that. Doesn't appear to be. So now we could either continue to go on or continue to explore Crag. The Crag is very interesting, so I opt to explore the Crag because again there are a ton of secrets to uncover in just this area alone. We've done about so far maybe half of everything, or maybe like a third of everything. We're nearing the end of it. Alright, we're actually nearing 2,000 guild. So if we get that, we can definitely get a brand new weapon technique. One of the mid-tier weapon techniques. So that's what I'm aiming for. Want to get more and more weapon techniques so we have more combat options. Because Deathinitive so far hasn't quite taken the piss out of me. It hasn't really tilted me too much. Because of that, I think another mode could definitely up the challenge of the game. Alright, just looking around, looking for secrets, and no particular secrets here. Just water. Just the way to really get back up after falling back down. So now we are in the dungeon. Or not a dungeon, but we're in a, it's almost like a dungeon, but alright, we got our key, skeleton key, so we can open that locked door we seen previously. And these are ornate keys that can be used to open locked doors. So we're out. So even at this stage of the game, you can actually get pretty far with just basic platforming and no additional tools. And that feels fine. Like I like fighting these enemies. Some of their attacks are ridiculous. That's really it. And they're sometimes pretty hilarious the way they move and things like that. That's pretty good. Yeah, I love classic platforming. And there appears to be a treasure across there, so I'm doing the little triangle hop that many of you who play Prince of Persia games and Assassin's Creed games. Well, Prince of Persia for sure. I don't know if that's in Assassin's Creed, but that's a video game staple. The wall run and the wall jump. And I'm just checking out my gear here, what I picked up, and we got some Vagabond Greaves with increased defense, critical damage, and arcane percentage. So yeah, just check your equipment every so often whenever you pick up loot. You'll be surprised at what you get, and you'll likely get something that'll be very useful to your playstyle. So right here, I'm just going to use that key we picked up, and we're going to enter this room, and in here you'll actually find quite a challenge. So I am really underleveled for this area. You guys will soon see how underleveled I am. And that's a stalker, and one hit took pretty much most of my health bar. So this guy is a 2-hit killer, and if you're level like less than level 5, coming here and challenging this guy is pretty pointless. So I mean, you can do it. This enemy isn't like impossible, but if you don't have the patience to like whittle him down, because at this point my attacks are doing like peanuts to me. You know, those guys only doing like 3 damage. My attacks are doing about 20, which isn't even probably not even 100 of his health bar. And as you can see, his hitboxes are crazy good. So it's unless you want to frustrate yourself, come in here and try to challenge this guy at level 2, which I think I'm at. I'm either at 2 or 3 at this point. Is not a smart thing to do. But I did it a couple times just to test my mettle, and so we can explore some more. I didn't want to stop exploring. You know, really, this guy was too much. But again, if you're patient, if you're smart, if you're perceptive, this guy isn't impossible to beat at this level. His attacks have huge tails on them. It's just at this point, that's the last time I challenged him. At this point, I just wasn't ready to spend 10 minutes trying to whittle him down and deal with that. So I decided to leave and come back later, which I don't know how you guys play or anything like that, but I figure quite a few of you are gonna, if you even decide to explore this area, quite a few of you are gonna, when you run into him, are gonna decide to just peace out for now, like I did. It's all depending on your amount of patience, pretty much. I just, I wanted to keep the playthrough moving pretty quickly. Because I'm stubborn like that. I can just sit there trying to beat a guy forever.
Come closer. See what Vulgrim has to offer.
And this here is Vulgrim. We had that bolt in this coin.
Greetings, horseman, and welcome. I've been expecting you.
Vulgrim. What brings you crawling out of the shadows?
I wouldn't want to lose my most valuable customer. Not to what lurks at the edge of shadows. So here I am, to offer my wares.
What do you know that I don't? I'm not here by choice, demon.
I merely followed the trail of carnage. Your blades are as sharp as ever. Even still, I may be able to help you. I carry things others would frown upon. Go on, take a look. You won't be disappointed.
Vulgrim clearly knows more than he's letting on, and that's kind of his theme in each of the games. That he
I
knows
have new
quite a bit.
items, if you have the code.
So as you can see here, we can respec with Vulgrim, and then we can buy these, pretty much they're loot boxes. Loot boxes without being loot boxes. Loot boxes that require in-game currency rather than real-life currency. But they function in a very similar fashion. You'll buy them and they'll give you a random weapon or item, whatever equipment you choose to get. And here I'm actually selling some items, which is a new feature.
Another time, demon.
Until then, perhaps you'll grant me a small indulgence. There are pages missing from the Book of the Dead. I believe many lie along your path. If you bring them to me, your reward will be substantial.
And so will be my damnation.
Yeah, okay, so Vulgrim knows much more than he's letting on, which is apparent if you play all the games. He's your respec here, and selling items, I recommend selling items whenever you can. Basically to keep your inventory clear and to keep gold in your pocket, keep guilt is what the game calls it, keep guilt in your pocket. Because you're gonna find a lot of good stuff to buy with guilt in this game, including weapon techniques and equipment. And whenever you're low on healing items, you'll always be able to buy more health potions and things like that. I recommend selling those too whenever you have max of them. I suggest selling at least one. I typically sell until I'm down to about 3 or 2 health and mana potions. Because you get so many, and you will just end up leaving them behind anyway. So I am all about the mercantile in this game. And there I just got a possessed weapon. So these are cool. And it's in the form of a scythe. So with possessed weapons, what you can do with them is, these are the only weapons you can actually level up yourself. And you level them up by sacrificing other weapons to them. And basically whatever you sacrifice to them, that possessed weapon will take on, will be able to take on one of the aspects of that particular weapon. So if you have a weapon with ice damage, by the end of once you've sacrificed enough weapons to that, by the end of that particular level of the weapon, you'll be able to that weapon will have ice abilities, or you'll be able to choose ice abilities, or whatever other abilities you've sacrificed to that weapon. You can only take one ability per level. So if you've chosen one particular stat, one particular ability, either critical damage, critical chance, anything like that, you'll want to keep feeding it that particular type of ability. Otherwise you'll lose it and you won't be able to access it until you feed another item of that with that ability. So I explained it in a much more complex way than it actually is. It's a really cool system, honestly. And if this game, you know, if the series has this sort of loot dynamic in the future, which Darksiders 3 does not, but if they go back to this, the possessed weapons will be I hope they decide to include possessed weapons. They're a great way to, one, clear your inventory out, and two, power up your existing weapon. So I'm all about the possessed weapons. And as you can see with these construct warriors, they're all corrupted. We fought some at the beginning of the game, but it appears they're strong throughout the land here. So we can tell that the corruption is definitely spreading quite far. Like whenever we do damage to these things, they pull themselves together with corruption. We just leveled up. And I believe I'm going to continue along the Necromancer path, which I recommend. I don't like the first few skills for the Harbinger. Later on in this playthrough, I do end up dabbling with it for a little bit. And the fact that you take damage while doing the teleport slash just is not, doesn't feel fair really. But you do get health back for the teleport slash, so it depends on how you play. But for my bang for my buck, I like the Exhume, the Necromancer stuff. Alright, and here we have another construct. This one's much bigger than the ones we've been fighting. And in order to interact with this, we'll need a particular item. Well, I'll just tell you what it is. We need an item called the Maker's Key. And it'll allow us to activate those constructs. And it's the area we'll be able to get to later. But for now, we do not have the means to progress forward in this particular area. But of course, we'll keep our minds open, keep our memory sharp, and we'll come back later. Behind these, we'll find a boatman's coin, which again, you can trade these to Vulgrim for special items and respec. Actually, respec is cause guilt, but not boatman's coins. 327, if you guys remember from my Darksiders 1 playthrough, 327 is one of my daily numbers, so you saw it there, popped up in this playthrough. So don't be surprised if you see numbers such as 327, 187, 666, and 444 in this playthrough a lot, because they pop up all the time in whatever game I'm playing. And it's pretty interesting. And we got another Book of the Dead page. Again, you want to take these to Vulgrim once you get them. Well, once you have a chapter, you take these to Vulgrim.
Not enough
Those zombies are those spectral skeletons are putting in work. Oh, and here, this enemy was actually bugged out for a bit. Like, I couldn't kill him, no matter what I did. I don't know why. I don't know if he was, like, out of place or something. But he glitched out. So, I don't know how I got this glitch. So, I guess just be careful that this might happen to you. Oh, it looks like, what was it? I thought I ran away from him. That's how bad my memory is. This is a very cool area. And there's quite a few secrets here, too. There is a stone nearby, a blue stone to shoot. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And I believe I opted to keep that box closed so that we can go get it later. You know, at a higher level, once I reach a higher level. Because for now, as far as equipment goes, I'm okay. But I know we're going to be in this area for a while, so it's always better to get loot when you're at a higher level. So always keep that in mind if you're playing a higher difficulty and you're having trouble, like your gear's like low level. Just keep a certain balance in mind. Like if you're at a low level and you're picking up a lot of loot, you might just want to stop, open those loot chests, and just wait. Like if your item box is overflowing with equipment and weapons, you just want to stop for a while and wait till you're maybe 1 or 2 levels higher before you start picking up weapons again. And then, you know, well, not pick up weapons, but open chests, open the coffins. Picking up weapons is just fine, like when enemies drop them. It's just fine. Hopefully enemies are constantly dropping weapons in your playthrough. It means you got some good RNG going on. This area too is also filled with quite a few secrets. And I decided to just go past them for now because it's very easy to get sidetracked in this game. There's a ton of secrets and a ton of side missions. So what you want to do, a good strategy typically, is you want to do at least 1 or 2 of the main missions so that you have all the traversal items, or a good amount of traversal items, and then you want to maybe go look for secrets and stuff like that and do side missions. Because there's nothing worse than looking for secrets and getting stuck. Getting stuck in an area where, you know, you just can't traverse. Here you get to see a good example of how the makers fight. Those big bruisers.
Tales be true. A rider has come to the realm.
Not another one.
You're the Nephilim, the one they call Death. How did you get here?
Took a wrong turn. It appears I'm stranded here with the rest of you.
If you seek the Cauldron, you should know that it fell to corruption fair long ago. I can still feel the fire itself rumbling deep in the earth.
I'll take my chances. You're different than the others. Less pleasant on the eyes for one.
Ouch.
I could say no less for you. Folks around town call me Pup or Lad, but I prefer my own name. Calm.
Pup it is, then.
As you will. Matters not to me.
Where's a jerk? Or
Why not restore the fire yourself?
Death's a jerk.
I came here just for that purpose. Figured I'd pop the cork, so to speak. Be the hero. But the Cauldron is locked up well and tight, and the way through is swallowed by fire. You look capable enough. Perhaps you can find a way. I'll wait here and guard the entrance.
And blue text is submissions.
Say, if you're headed in there, you mind doing something for me?
Yes, I mind. Aren't I doing enough already?
Perhaps. Though it seems to me you're doing right enough for yourself. Our benefit being a fortunate side effect. Well, if it ain't much trouble, I left an old metal platter in there, with the image of 2 hammers scribed in the center. Not much to look at, but it was my journeyman piece. Last thing I ever forged.
A dish? You want me to bring you a dish?
Yes, well, it has sentimental value. If you find it, I'll make it worth your while.
Death.
Your shaman has offered me a talisman if I bring her the materials.
You'd be wise to accept then. Her craft is mighty powerful.
Where do I find Stalker's bone?
You'll find stalkers prowling the Cauldron. Should be simple work, if your name is any indication.
Death's voice actor is so good. He wasn't in I believe I heard that they recast him in Darksiders 3, so I hope, you know, if he is in another game, that they cast the same guy, because this guy is great. I love his sarcasm.
Get on with you then. Nobody ever found anything interesting to do just by standing around.
I can say that I like the voice acting for the whole series pretty much. It's definitely solid. Another thing is, one of the things I originally disliked about the game was the fact that there was just the whole premise of you playing as one of the horsemen of the apocalypse and having to go on fetch quests. I really dislike that from a narrative perspective. In hindsight, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I kind of overreacted to it in the past, but there is something about that. Like, you're playing as this almighty person and you're pretty much relegated to the faceless player character. You know, you're doing stuff that a typical RPG player character would do. But in hindsight, it's fine. It makes sense even because Death is basically stranded in a new area. So it makes perfect sense. And here we're introduced to a familiar concept from the first game. These objects called bomb flowers. And we're gonna go ahead and use those to do a puzzle. So actually these are called shadow bombs. They're extremely volatile and can be used to destroy certain objects in the environment. Construct warrior. These guys are now lower level than I am. so they aren't much of a problem. And you can insta-kill enemies by chucking them in environmental hazards like that. And the cool thing is you'll actually get the money for it. They're generous enough to pop the money up to your level so you don't lose it. I believe with these bombs they don't. No, these bombs do blow up eventually. Actually, no, these bombs don't blow up until you throw them. That's a nice gameplay change from the first game. And there you see I have too many potions. So it's always, for me anyway, it's always good to go in a dungeon with like 3 potions. Because the cool thing about Darksiders 2 is if you ever get to a situation where you're low on health and you die, you will be resurrected with full health. Like they won't ever lock you into like low health whenever you're doing stuff. So really, you don't always need potions. They do help with like long exploring sections. And if you couldn't already tell, you can actually tell when these guys are about to attack whenever you hear that sound. That chime sound. Look at that. RNG on our side. Got a pretty strong hammer. Right here I'm just testing out the fist weapon. Fists are always going to be better than you think they are, because the fist weapons are, you know, by their stats, they're always going to be lower damage than your scythes or your big weapons, but they're faster, so the DPS is often higher or on par with your bigger weapons. Still, personally, I prefer the bigger weapons for the way they stun enemies. And I'm just a big weapon sort of person. Like, I like the feel of just heavy hits. And there's a boatman's coin. Don't miss that. Easy to miss. The way they positioned it there. Pretty damn solid level design here. Alright, we got locked doors. We got portions of the floor missing, environmental hazards. We have a bomb over there, and we have a switch over there. So we're going to have to use this to traverse the room. Exhibition of death's nimbleness compared to war. Whenever you're like angled correctly, anyway. Like I wasn't there. And it's always a good idea to look around whenever you're climbing and platforming and stuff. Circle to dismount and release from its current traversal mode. I just bought the Darksiders 1 and 2 soundtracks, and yeah, the Jesper Kyd soundtrack for this one is pretty damn tight. Like, it's relaxing and somehow exciting at the same time. It's weird. Somebody that can attack you from off screen. This enemy here looks like he throws. Looks like he's a ranging, so he throws rocks. And this architecture in the room is pretty damn cool. We can tell, we saw a maker statue there, so we can tell, of course, that this was made by a maker. Which isn't much of a surprise, seeing as this is their world, and they are known for making towers for heaven and hell, so it's not a shock that they make gorgeous architecture. This would be our key. Oh no, this is the dungeon map. Big old room, and the enemies are already fighting each other. So demons are fighting against corrupted constructs. So demons aren't necessarily immune from the corruption. They have a problem with it too, just like everybody else. And right here, I'm just taking advantage of the confusion of the fight. That's why it took me so long to kill this guy. So I just letting them, the enemies do damage to each other. Especially to the stalker. And we did get our stalker bone, along with getting our ass kicked a little bit. People just taking hits to the face. But with those ingredients you got to get for the shaman, you have to get them one at a time. Like, you can't take on all 3 ingredients. You have to get them one at a time and report back to Karen. So make sure to do that often. When you notice you got a ingredient such as the stalker bone, go back to Karen and report to him so that he can give you the okay to get the next ingredient. Here's our key. Our skeleton key. But yeah, it can really suck when you have all the oh, and if you hold L3 here, you can summon Dust your bird, and he'll actually hint you to the next objective. But it'll suck if you're doing these missions for the shaman, and you have to, like, you've already killed all these enemies, and like you didn't get the shaman's mission. Like, it'll suck that you did all that work and you got so far in the level, and then you have to take the shaman's mission and then get the items, because they aren't retroactive items. Like, you have to actually go and kill these enemies again to get it, to complete the mission with the item. and so now the next
What is
item is the
Mordant
Mordant
Dew?
Dew.
Mordant Dew is the venom those stingers get you with if you let them too close. You'll find them in Drangeforth. Walk softly though. Those stings are nasty.
Alright, and they, you see, I went back to Cairn instead of waiting in case we ran into stingers here, but there are no stingers here, so you could wait. It's okay to explore through all here and then go back to Cairn later after you complete this place. Alright, we got our skeleton key so we can enter this locked room here. And I wonder were these rooms sealed with some type of sorcery? Like, or is that just the video game convention in there? Or is there some type of significance to those doors and skeleton keys? That's one thing that the first game didn't quite incorporate as best it could, I feel, is the lore to the video game conventions, such as the grapple points for the abyssal chain in the first game. It's just like random orbs floating in the sky, and I feel like they could have made those related to the actual in-game lore more so. But really, they don't even tell you what those grapple points are, or why they can. We got that boatman's coin there. Yeah, or why these things exist in the world, or why they're like in it sometime in the shadow realm and things like that. But this is Darksiders 2 was post Dark Souls, I believe. Darksiders 1 was pre-Dark Souls. So this is before people took in-game lore very seriously in terms of like focusing on it. Some games did, but a lot of games didn't really give it too much care. I'll tell you what, Dark Souls actually made me think about that when in terms of game design, like how your in-game items and functions relate to the overall world. So Darksiders number 3 definitely took its cues from that, because all your items in that game have descriptions and lore implications in the actual world. Alright, yep. We have another potion that we can't, well, we were able to use that one, but we're gonna get to a point where we can't pick up any more potions and we can't use them, which I always feel is a shame. Most people won't care, but I always feel like, man, if only I could have sold that for, I think you get like $200 for each one. But man, if only I just sold some of those off so I can get extra money. I'm always thinking about that. Alright, we got another area with another skeleton key. I don't know how that hit me. I don't know how the heck that hit me. But I did actually finally figure out the problems I was having with the Darksiders 1 dodging. I figured, like, I tested it out a bit more, and what I noticed with it is that you can dodge diagonally forward, but if you're dodging backward or side to side, you can only dodge in a linear direction. You can't go even slightly to the side. Like if you go forward and left, you can do that. If you go forward and right, you can do that. But you can't go backwards and right or backwards and left. And you can't go left and backwards or right and backwards in Darksiders 1. So it feels a bit stiff, but once you keep that in mind, the dodging starts to make more sense. So it's not, I think I mentioned earlier in this episode that it was limited, and to a degree it is, but it's not as limited as I might have made it sound. Alright, we got our shadow bombs. And these are, of course, bred by corruption. And it makes you wonder, though, like, why some corruption is explosive, why other is crystalline. Maybe it's because it's combined with existing material. It's corruption combined with explosive material. It's probably just a shadow bomb, or it's probably just a bomb flower corrupted by corruption. Dislodge bombs. Shadow bombs explode with devastating force. Anything in the blast radius will be blown away or destroyed. The force of the bomb blast can be used to move objects. So they pretty much, as soon as we made our mistake here, they let us know, like, okay, you can actually get this out of this hole so that you can move it around. So I appreciate that they let you make that mistake first before the tutorial kicked in. And probably the worst part of the game is Death's goofy ball rolling animation. He looks so happy doing it. And it feels weird. Like, it feels I guess it feels accurate, because it's about as unwieldy as rolling a giant ball would feel. So I messed up. Well, I didn't mess up, but we gotta dislodge this from here. Then we can open the door. Or we can open the gate here. Nothing more satisfying than hearing that little jingle, or the other one that goes dun 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 dun. Like, you know you've done right when you hear that. I actually like that sound over the Zelda jingle. I like just about everything in the Darksiders series more than I like the Zelda series. Although I'm a huge fan of Wind Waker. Like, Wind Waker definitely spoke to me, especially the sailing segments. I think that was the first time in a game I felt truly on an adventure, is when I set sail on Wind Waker for the first time. And that the epic sailing music kicked in. Alright, so we got a puzzle here. And this one's a time puzzle. So this bridge lifts, and what's attached to it is I forgot what these things are called. I guess a cauldron, you would call it.
I should keep moving.
And he tells you right there, it gives you a hint that it's timed, so. Not too big of a deal. Yeah, you can kind of mess up there a little bit. It's not too big of a deal. Giving you plenty of time to, you know, correct your mistakes and get across. There's nothing more peaceful than traversing areas in this game with the Jesper Kyd's OST going. And looking for secrets, like, it's so satisfying. Like every last bit of these sections are so satisfying. Well, got a secret, so now we gotta decide, do we go after it and then we have to do the platforming stuff all over again, or do we continue to go forward? And I forgot what I decided here. Okay, looks like I decided to go forward. I think I do a little bit of both. Like I raised that, then I decided to go back down to explore that, because I just can't. Oh, here they tell you how to fast travel. That's a weird time to tell you when to fast travel. All right, we got this Journeyman's Platter, one of the lost Journeyman treasures. It's too fast to read the rest. So hopefully you guys will be able to pause that if you care enough to read that. Of course, I decided to come down here prematurely. Get this. I forget what this is. Probably a horse seeking, if anything. Oh nope.
I cannot.
Weapons and potions. And there is no way getting over there. Death does not have wings like War got from Samael. Yeah, Samael really pimped War out. Samael gave War Shadow Flight. He gave him a Chronomancer, Chronosphere, Chronomancer. What else did he give him? I think those are the only two things he gave him, but he did power him up as well. Everything else War acquired, he got the pistol from Wolfbane. Void Walker from the Black Throne. We got his Shuriken from Twilight Cathedral. We got the mask from Azrael. The Abyssal Chain from the Iron Canopy. But he did get powered up by Samael's for those who granted Samael's power. And that came directly from assisting Samael in the first place. He was able to gather that power. So that alliance between War and Samael really helped those two out. Like, Samael was in a bad place and so was War, and that alliance just like, that put Samael right, gave him all his powers back, and it gave War enough power to challenge Destroyer and set things right on his end. So it's one hell of an alliance between a demon and a Nephilim. And in this one, Death actually makes quite a few alliances as well, as we can already tell, because he's Mr. Fetch Boy, Mr. Errand Boy for the makers in this game. So of course he'd make some friends in this one. And right here what I'm doing is I'm sacrificing weapons to my possessed weapon. And as you can see, the orange bar there indicates experience points. And you can actually feed it any of your equipment. You can feed it other weapons that aren't scythes. You can feed it your armor. You can feed it your talismans. and it'll take on the special abilities of that weapon if you want. If you choose it, once it levels up, once you choose it, they'll let you choose between almost any of the effects you put there. There is a bit of a limit, I believe. Like when you give it, like, you know, I think more than 4 or 5 abilities, then you only be able to choose between a few of those. So here, this will give me the this buffs up what I already have, and I can choose between arcane and critical chance. Arcane being extra magic damage, execution chance being a chance for instant kill abilities. Or executions in this game are similar to the last game, where if you damage an enemy enough, a circle will appear over their heads and you can instant kill them like that. We just got the feeding time trophy, which is level up your first possessed weapon. Oh, this is that boss fight, so that's why they tell you about the fast travel, in case you don't have enough weapons or potions. This guy Garn, no joke, no joke. He does a lot of damage to you. And his hitbox is pretty spectacular, just like that. My weapons are pretty damn weak at this point. Except for the hammer. Hammer is great. And what you want to be doing is building that wrath gauge, blue gauge there, and using your wrath ability whenever you can. If you're using the necromancer route anyway. With the skellies. The skellies build pretty quickly. Just so you're always doing, rad damage whenever you can. At this point, my skellies are weak, and when they die, they don't do damage. Once you get them to the point where death causes an explosion for them, like when they die, it causes an explosion, then you'll be doing some simple kills. The executions in this game are brutal. And this here is the Dark Avenger. This weapon once belonged to a human warrior known as Draven. During countless duels, the weapon absorbed Draven's own rage and thirst for vengeance against those who wronged him. The Dark Avenger is famous for possessing a furious lust for blood and carnage. So this here is a fist weapon, and the special ability for it, I actually don't exactly know what it does, but there is a pretty good Darksiders wiki, and you can also go to GameFAQs to see what many of these weapons do. Knockback power, defense. Usually these all have special abilities as well, but I don't see any flavor text on this one, and it doesn't say special ability on it. But Dark Avenger. Oh, stats are pretty solid, but it looks like I wasn't able to equip it for a moment. That has a pretty unique fighting style. I initially thought it was a little try hard when I first played the game. Dual sides, of course, and he's carrying them backwards like that. But it's fine. Like it definitely works for him. Gives him a bit more personality. And death is surprisingly maybe the best combatant out of the horsemen. I thought that would be War, but Death seems to be superior to War in quite a few ways. He's frequently referred to as the strongest horseman. And it looks like this is the end of the episode. So I thank you guys for tuning in, and appreciate you guys for hanging out on the post commentary. But I want you guys to take care, enjoy yourselves, and till next time, peace.